It was supposed to be Toyota's night, a coronation for 2311 Racing, a race where Bubba Wallace showed the world that his fight in the playoffs was far from over, and where Denny Hamlin, his co-owner and mentor, stamped his name deeper into NASCAR history. But Kansas didn't end with smiles and champagne. It ended with anger, betrayal, and a middle finger broadcast to millions. Bubba Wallace walked away not just wrecked out of a race, but wrecked emotionally by the one person who was supposed to protect him. Denny Hamlin, he left with no trophy, no milestone win, and a PR wildfire that even his smooth talk couldn't put out. And Chase Elliott, the man barely mentioned in pre-race storylines, swooped in like a thief, stole the glory, and left Toyota and its fans stunned. This wasn't just a race. This was a fracture, a turning point, a night Kansas will never forget. When the field rolled off at Kansas, the stakes couldn't have been higher. For Hamlin, this wasn't just another start. He came into the weekend sitting on 59 Career Cup Series victories, one shy of tying Kevin Harvick at 60. That's legacy territory. That's all-time great talk. A win here would have been more than just a playoff advancement. It would have cemented Hamlin's place as one of the giants. For Bubba Wallace, the story was different. He entered Kansas below the cut line, 26 points in the hole. That's not a gap you make up with stage points or top 10s. That's must perform now or go home pressure. Wallace knew the math. A win was the cleanest path forward. And for most of the day, it looked like he was clawing toward exactly that miracle. From the first stage, Hamlin was in control. His number, 11 Toyota, was hooked up, slicing through the corners and leading 159 laps. At times, it felt like a coronation, the race gift-wrapped for him. But Wallace wasn't fading. The 23 team fought back from poor track position early. Pit calls went their way, Bubba stayed clean in traffic, and lap after lap he inched toward the front. By the time overtime arrived, Bubba had fought his way into the lead. Against the odds, against the pressure, he was right there, one lap away from flipping his entire playoff picture upside down. And that's when Kansas turned into chaos. First overtime, Wallace had it. The lead, the white flag just seconds away, the 23rd car in clean air. The kind of moment you imagine over and over as a kid. Leading in crunch time, holding off the field, winning when it matters most. Then, disaster. A 4-car wreck behind him triggered the yellow. Everything reset. Second overtime, nerves at a boiling point. Bubba versus Hamlin. Teammates, co-owner versus driver, friend versus friend. The green dropped and Hamlin went for broke. Maybe it was adrenaline, maybe it was desperation, maybe it was ego. But in turn 3, the 11 got too tight, slid up the track, and tagged the 23. In an instant, Wallace slammed the wall. His hopes shattered. The gasp from the crowd said it all. This wasn't just any wreck. This wasn't just two drivers tangling. This was a team imploding on live television. And from the smoke came Chase Elliott. Elliott, the quiet assassin, had been lurking all day. The number 9 hadn't been dominant. He wasn't in headlines. But when chaos struck, he was ready. With fresher tires and a car still clean, Elliott blasted past the Toyotas like they were standing still. He doored Hamlin, cleared the mess, and stole the victory. He'd only led 24 laps all race. But in NASCAR, you only need to lead one. The last one. "I wasn't going to lift," Elliott said afterward, and you believed him. The way he powered through that chaos felt cold-blooded. He didn't just win, he ripped the win away from Toyota's hands and gave Chevrolet a playoff boost. The crowd went wild. Elliott Nation erupted, but behind him, the real story was boiling. Before Wallace even made it to pit road, his feelings went public. Out the window came the middle finger, pointed directly at his boss. This wasn't frustration at a rival. This wasn't just venting. This was betrayal captured in a single gesture. After the race, Bubba tried to keep it measured, but the fire burned through. 2 years ago, I'd probably say something dumb. But he's a dumb for that move. I don't care if he's my boss. We're going for the win. That wasn't just anger. That was a driver saying trust is gone. That was a man who had just seen his playoff dream destroyed by the very person who was supposed to have his back. Hamlin, as always, didn't duck the cameras. He admitted he got tight. He admitted it cost them. But then came the excuses. No power steering, Aero issues. The car not turning the way it should. I was off the gas and on the brakes 100 yards before the 23 let off, Hamlin argued. I was turning as hard as I could. It didn't work out. For some fans, it was believable. For others, it sounded like damage control. And on social media, the debate exploded. Was this just hard racing, or did Hamlin throw away Toyota's win, chasing his own legacy? Because this wasn't just about one race. It was about trust, about roles. Wallace is supposed to be the face of 2311. Hamlin is supposed to be his mentor, his guide, his boss. But when the helmets are on, what happens if the boss races like a rival? That finger out the window was more than frustration. It was a message: I can't trust you. And that's dangerous for a team trying to build something lasting. NASCAR teams survive on chemistry, trust, and shared vision. If Bubba feels like he's just another car in Hamlin's way, how does 2311 move forward? The timing couldn't be worse. Wallace left Kansas still 26 points below the cut line. Heading into the Roval, one of the most unpredictable tracks on the schedule, he's in must-win territory. And everyone knows the Roval isn't a place you want your season hanging by a thread. Hamlin, meanwhile, is safe in points, but carries the weight of this disaster into the next round. His playoff run is alive, but the narrative around him is toxic. He had a chance at win number 60, and instead he walked out with boos, memes, and questions about whether he's sabotaging his own team. And Toyota, they went from controlling the race to handing it to Chevrolet. That's not just a loss, that's a momentum swing. And here's the kicker, this isn't new. NASCAR history is littered with teammate betrayals and awkward moments where team orders go out the window. Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson clashed at Martinsville in 2007 when teammates turned rivals. Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano had multiple run-ins at Penske despite being under the same banner. Even Joe Gibbs Racing, Hamlin's home, saw controversy when Eric Jones was allegedly told not to pass Hamlin late in a playoff race. The common thread? Winning at all costs creates cracks that don't heal easily. And Kansas might be the moment where Wallace and Hamlin's relationship cracked for good. So where does 2311 go from here? Bubba Wallace now faces elimination unless he pulls off the race of his life at the Roval. Hamlin still chases his elusive championship, but at what cost? And for Toyota, Kansas was supposed to be a showcase of dominance. Instead, it was a collapse, a public implosion, and a reminder that even the strongest teams can eat themselves alive. Chase Elliott won the race. He locked into the round of 8. He got the trophy, the champagne, and the headlines. But in the bigger picture, Kansas wasn't about Elliott's redemption. It was about a team that cracked under pressure. So now the question is simple. Was this just hard racing gone wrong? Or did Denny Hamlin's desperation for legacy tear apart his own house from within? Because one thing's for sure, Kansas wasn't just a race. It was the night Toyota's dream celebration turned into its nightmare.